A night of terror in the bush. My tale takes place a few weeks back while camping in the bush. This was my first break in several months from work, as I'm now a roadie for international bands like Pink and Nickelback. I decided to go camping with two old mates up in the bush for a few days, far away from the world as possible. I'm an experienced bushman and camped in the bush many times over the years. We heard about a place way out at the back of a small town named Coygal, northern SNW, at the back of Mount Lindesay. Locals call it Yowie County. A Yowie is an Australian equivalent of Bigfoot, an aboriginal mystic creature like the Binyup. So just before the entrance to Coygal is the gateway to the national park. After a few hours of driving, we finally found the old road that led to our proposed camping site. It was located on an old, disused logging trail. Not many people, in fact, no one, goes anywhere near here, which made it even better for us. We left the truck 5 miles from where we camped and made our way up through the dense forest along the barely recognizable track, avoiding snakes and jumping ants, before we found our site. It took about 20 minutes to set up the site, tarpaulin over the branches to prevent rain from wetting us, a pit to bury our beer in it to keep it cool, and also food buried in it as well, and a decent fire pit. Gathered woods and twigs, we were ready for a good night of playing cards and drinking beer and talking about the best routes we had. You know, the usual BS. The night was as clear as I remember and hot. No moon, but the stars were like little eyes peering down at us. And maybe they were. I had to go to water the old lizard and stumbled off with a torch into the bush, hearing the lad's cat calling out saying, "Beware of the boogeyman." I was more concerned about the bloody death adders and brown snakes. Never mind the bloody boogeyman. As I was doing my business and gazing at the stars, a strange and horrible smell like something rotten overwhelmed me. Like as if someone let off a fart that stunk so bad, it really made my eyes burn and water. I stumbled back, gagging, but as I was stumbling back to the campsite, I thought I heard a deep growl, like when your stomach rumbles when you had nothing to eat, but louder. The hairs on the back of my neck rose as I quickly hurried back to the site. I told the other two, but they said that it might have been some animal, so we went back to our card playing. It was 11:45 by now, and I was dead beat. I had my sleeping bag already unrolled and crawled off after saying night to the other two and slid into the bag. It was long before I passed out. I don't know how long I was asleep, but the three of us were suddenly woken up by the strangest, spookiest, loudest, piercing scream that I've ever heard. It was not human. It was inhuman. We sat up and looked at each other when we heard loud crashing coming towards our campsite, like a bulldozer ramping through the bush. Whatever the hell it was big. Then I saw it. Something massive, well-built, coming crashing through the forest. I couldn't make out the details, but it looked strangely like a human, or even better, a gorilla. The smell will haunt me to the end of my days. It was that rotting stench like a corpse. This thing stood over 7 feet as it came tearing through the campsite, then vanished into the night. We all jumped up, gibbering like madmen about what we had just witnessed. Was it just some hippie that just smoked some potent weed? No, couldn't have been. Too tall and well-built to be a hippie. But it smelt like one, though. I tell you this, none of us slept that night. I had the hatchet ready, while one of my mates had a huge branch. The other, I don't know what he had, but we waited until dawn popped its head over the bridge before we left. What we saw in the daylight frightened the Christ out of us. The small saplings were all bent back and snapped. Some of our gear was trampled beyond repair, but we were shaken and stirred by our experience that we drove into town. We didn't tell the locals about what we had saw or heard in case they thought we were nuts. I did find out though that someone had a similar experience in those woods not too far back. I guess that shows you that it could have been anything paranormal, or maybe even some kind of shape-shifting ghost. Of course, we may truly never know. Thanks for reading.